the responsibility of racing to racing. It's not a topic that I want to do, but after last weekend's action, I feel like I need to be your Spartacus, and I need your input, so stick around. Formula One 2014 debuted in Australia, and the TUDOR United SportsCar Championship held its first Sebring 12-hour race. Now, both had great racers showing their stuff, some exciting race cars, important stories to tell, and some pretty good racing. Some racers and teams even won races, but all of that got lost in the self-inflicted controversies that each series created for themselves, controversies that stole the attention of even you passionate fans from the good stuff, and tainted the perception of racing for those that don't follow motorsport. All those people heard was babble, 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 professional auto racing, question mark, clusterfuck. And I'm not even talking about the controversies of F1 engine noises, anatomical noses, and Daytona prototypes as the premier sports cars. No, all I see are two premier professional sports executing the equivalent of putting their respective dicks on the table and then pounding the hell out of them with their own rule book like Bobby Flay prepares veal piccata. And then, through some collection of arrogance and ignorance, figuring it's all okay. Hey, it's still going to work just fine because it's my dick and I know best. Now, if you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, stay tuned. Not just for an explanation of the Infiniti Red Bull Racing Daniel Ricciardo disqualification from his P2 podium finish, and the ever-growing list of TUDOR United SportsCar Championship mistakes that continued at the TUDOR United SportsCar Championship, Mobil won 12 hours of Sebring fueled by Fresh from Florida, and the other mistakes at the TUDOR United SportsCar Championship, Rolex 24 at Daytona. And yes, I mentioned all the sponsors because when you pay for exposure, you're not just going to get it in the good times, you bought the bad too. Now back to the explanations. We'll talk not just about what happened, but also perspective. What needs to happen and what you should be saying to anyone and everyone to get the attention of this racing sport that really runs on fan support, not race gas. Now at Sebring, race control had a problem understanding the racing video they were watching. Let's not repeat that mistake here. So stay tuned, and who knows, you get it right here, you may have passed your first interview for the TUDOR race director job. Okay, let's get right to it. Was Daniel Ricciardo disqualified because his car was not getting the correct fuel flow to his Renault motor? No. The Red Bull racer was DQ'd because the team repeatedly ignored the FIA officials, saying they knew best. The team played shenanigans with the authorities. Now, fuel flow in F1 is dictated at 100 kilos per hour to control engine horsepower and to prevent teams from creating more exotic fuel maps to generate bigger horsepower at special moments, like qualifying or certain parts of the racetrack. Think of it as nitro boost via computer versus gas bottle. The FIA wants the technical attention turned to the electric energy parts of the power system. For the engine to monitor fuel flow, they issue each team a fuel flow sensor, but these are not 100% accurate yet. So the part also comes with a math equation specific to each sensor, so the team can recalculate the plus and minus variance of that sensor and factor that in, so that they can still run their engine within the 100 kilo per hour fuel flow rate. Back to Red Bull. If you read all the internet stories, a few things emerge. More teams than just Red Bull were struggling with the accuracy of the FIA sensors, but only Red Bull elected to tell the FIA to pound salt. Our data is better than your data. Infiniti Red Bull Racing said to the FIA, I'm not in Cuba and you're not Castro. But ignoring the officials gets you bounced, because really what's being challenged here is who will police the rules, the FIA or the teams self-policing themselves? Which gets to the responsibility of racing to racing. Now, I don't know everything here about the technology, but it seems if a series is going to lay down new rules, they ought to have the pieces and practices in place and working right to manage and enforce those rules. It's just as arrogant as Red Bull saying, F you, we know best, for a series to do the same thing and say to the teams, we don't have the fuel flow monitored 100% accurately, and no matter if it affects your horsepower or your performance, go ahead, just go race, do our math test, and good luck. The fans will see a winner one way or the other. It'll all be okay. The responsibility of racing is to deliver a sport with integrity of competition. So Red Bull ignored the officials and they got the DQ. At Sebring, Alex Job Racing disagreed with the officials but honored their dictate to execute a stop and hold penalty. And it cost them a podium finish, maybe even a win, in one of the most important races of the year. Even though the officials got the call as wrong as you could ever imagine. The alleged crime was avoidable contact with a GTD Ferrari that over the course of the race was whacked on like a piñata at a Salma Hayek family reunion by no less than 3 other race cars, 2 of which were the factory GTLM Porsche 911 RSRs. Now, I could have gone the other direction with that whacking joke with that picture, but there may be youths watching. Okay, youths, kids, whatever. And by the way, it was the hit from the number 912 Porsche GTLM that got the number 22 Alex Job GTD Porsche the penalty because A, race control misidentified the 2 cars, B, arrogantly wouldn't discuss with the Alex Job team before enforcing the misplaced penalty, and then C, when discovering the evidence that showed the race results affecting error that they created, decided an apology versus remedy was good enough. And D, the process of team to officials discussion is really not even in place. And here's where the video watching reference comes in. IMSA Race Control finally watched the in-car camera of the number 912 Michelin-tired, Michelin-branded in the camera shot GTLM factory Porsche hitting the Ferrari, and somehow mistook that car for Alex Job's also white-painted Porsche that races in the Continental tire-shod GTD class, not on Michelin's. And even if you think, hey, it was an old ALMS official having 2013 flashbacks, Job's cars back in 13 raced on Yokohama spec tires in GTC last year, so that's no excuse. Oh, and the factory Porsche never got a penalty and went on to win the GTLM race versus the SRT Viper that maybe should have won GTLM. Again, the responsibility of racing is to deliver a sport with integrity of competition. And frankly, neither F1 nor new IMSA have a lot of margin for time or patience from the fans. Not to mention the teams, sponsors, track promoters, et cetera, the ones that got skin in the game. Now, IMSA has already talked publicly about changing the onboard camera's car ID protocol. But IMSA's issues, in my opinion, are deeper than just putting the car number on the roof and problem solved. I got some additional issues and thoughts coming up. For your information, I invited IMSA and Alex Job onto today's show, but neither took us up on the offer in time for this shoot, but it's no big deal. I mean, what were they going to say that we don't already know? For IMSA, it'll probably be something like, we're studying the issues and we'll make changes as needed. It's been a huge undertaking since we merged 18 months ago. So much of there's so much on our plate, we're working 24/7 just to get to the races. Please understand how hard this is and how hard we're working. And for Alex Job, I pled my case. I wish the officials would communicate, listen, and maybe respect the teams a bit more. This is our business too, and it's all quite disappointing. Anyway, we're all going to monitor that, but I think that's where we stand. And for F1, well, FIA Jean Todt and Red Bull CEO Dietrich Mateschitz, or whatever you call him, wouldn't ever Skype in with lowly us. So without the chance to hear more directly from the principals of these 2 controversies, hey, it's my turn. But first, context. Many of you that know me know I do the business of motorsport marketing, in addition to this monkey business called ShakeDown on Drive. And in my marketing capacity, I do business with race teams, series, and sponsors. For example, the Hertz ID you now see on the Porsche factory race cars, and all the Porsche IMSA GT3 Cup Challenge Series cars from last year, and the JDX Porsches like this year with Sloan Yuri in GT3 Cup. All that stuff, that kind of be me, but with a lot of help. But with that work, I try to stay out of race operations discussions because A, we need each other and it's a partnership. B, I let the experts be experts in their area of expertise. And C, no kitchen needs too many ignorant chefs boiling the pasta. But when the racing product starts to get sketchy, then it affects my job, sales and marketing this crap. And when I say crap, it's a technical racing term of endearment. It's not intended to be an accurate definition of the racing. When the product goes bad, it makes it harder to sell. And then I have no choice but to weigh in. Not because it selfishly affects my bottom line, but it impacts the sport itself at multiple levels, and maybe, for good or bad, the most important one. Because earlier I said racing runs on fan support. I kind of lied. Truth is, it runs on cash. Other people's cash, not gas. The money of sponsor money, the money, team money, gentleman driver money, track sanctioning fee money, TV money, trackside vendor money, and so on and so on and so on. And if no one's buying, You're not watching racing, you're watching an empty racetrack, a dead internet link, and a blank TV screen. Okay, well, IMSA got that last one done on their own for the Sebring 12-hour broadcast, but that's another issue, and that was way too easy a joke. Oh, and besides my sales and marketing job forcing me to react to the racing product, I have this job. And ignoring the obvious news here, just because of my other job over there, is not doing justice to my obligation to you fans and to Drive. All that said, I like to use facts to make the point, not just espouse some emotional BS opinion. That's what the rest of the internet is for, so here we go here. There are only 3 words that define the responsibility of racing to racing: integrity, authenticity, consistency. In my opinion, that's it. If you build every action, build every team of professionals, every process with those 3 dictates burned into everyone's head, heart, and ethical soul as the only doctrines that matter, everyone wins. Everything will work out, and any mistake will be understood as something that happened, but it went wrong with the best intentions, not some devious agenda, and it'll be fixed right away, the right way. That's all that F1 and IMSA needs to do, and that's all you as fans should be shouting for and demanding for your fan dollars. But I got a little bit more. I was in a business meeting at Sebring with racing operations guys, not just marketers, and one of the race team managers for a big program said, quote, "Racing is only about preparation." And then Audi Sport leader Dr. Wolfgang Ulrich once said to us in an earlier ShakeDown interview, "Success comes from empowering every person on the team to understand their job and understanding that their responsibility is to each other to deliver the best, to not let the other guy down." Now, words are cheap, so one should only judge actions. Running racing isn't easy, but this is the business that these series pros have chosen. There's the Godfather analogy right there. The actions of both F1 and IMSA seem to not reflect preparation or a sense of responsibility for each and every job function, from each and every worker, from the bottom of the food chain to the leadership of a Jim France or a Bernie Ecclestone. To me, every single action reflects and affects the greater good. Every person's job is linked to their teammates, and it all sets the tone. The credentialed person managing that process, the track security controlling access, the corner workers, the safety teams, race control, the drivers themselves, the marketers, the race managers, etc. All their performances define the experience and more, and the integrity and authenticity of the racing as a business and a sport. And each individual doing their job with consistency and purpose on behalf of the integrity and authenticity is the only way to build the product. Now, I know I'm talking corporate platitudes, and you guys are about to flame me the F out of here for all that, but hold on. Here are some specifics. In F1, the fuel flow monitoring tools must work, and the rulings must be consistent and respectful of the integrity of the racing. In IMSA, the balance of performance seems to be closer to being right, so that's good, but the officiating is horribly undermining the integrity and authenticity of that racing. The full course yellow process seems to be mired in corporate procedural red tape, TPS reports, and committee meetings. 5 hours of full course yellow in a 12-hour race, holy shit. I know they drink a lot in Green Park, but those fans did not need that much bathroom break time. Driver standards are another issue. Driver standards right now seem to let racers into the show, and it feels like that needs to be a more authentic criteria, because right now it feels like we got, congratulations, the check cleared, you're good to leave pit lane. And all of this can't be forgiven by, I got so much on my plate, we're doing the best we can sympathy rants. So I ask racing to suck it up and consider the following. Number 1, adopt a constant commitment to the doctrines of integrity, authenticity, and consistency. Number 2, embrace Dr. Ulrich's mindset of team, the accountability and responsibility of each teammate to each other. I'm letting my teammate down if I don't do the best job I can do should be the mindset of everyone. And let me add a third, acknowledging who exactly is the customer to the racing series, and then respecting them. And I'm not talking about the fans here. Not right now, no offense. For racing to be the best it can, the series needs to remember that with every action, their first customers are the racing teams. And this is where the series communication with the teams, listening and cooperating, and showing respect for their participation, not just saying it, will make things better. Surely Alex Job, guys like Scott Elkins and others should be discussing a penalty/review process that does not leave everything in the hands of the pit lane officials and teams, drivers, and sponsors and fans feeling victimized. You know, maybe racing should have an NFL football coach's red flag to throw onto the racetrack for officiating reviews and then discussion. Back to the respect thing. Actually, the same respect I'm asking for teams needs to go to anyone handing the series money. Having a customer is a privilege, not a right. So what do you think about what I said today? I don't think racing is broke, but I think the mindset has maybe lost its way. I hope that's simply the case, because it's better than thinking that this is all an organized, well-oiled plan to do something else. The responsibility of racing is to deliver a sport with integrity of competition. It's as simple as that. And the way to get it done starts with mindset and respect. Now, can we go back to just enjoying the cars, the racers, and the racing? Because trying to be Spartacus and spin this stuff into racing gold is tiring me the f*** out.